Back to our leading story this morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa has joined world leaders in congratulating the Catholic Church's new Pope following his election on Thursday. Pope Leo XIV, formerly U.S. Cardinal Robert Prevost, was elected on the second day of the conclave to choose a successor to Pope Francis, who died last month. He becomes the first Pope from the United States. Presidents and prime ministers have sent him messages of goodwill, mainly through social media platforms. Here at home, President Ramaphosa has also conveyed his well wishes. And joining us is José Ponce de León, residential bishop of the Diocese of Manzini, on the line now. Good morning, José. You said we should call you José. Good morning again. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you well, Iman. Good morning to you.
Good. I was saying congratulations on the election of a new successor. And I wanted to start out because we understand that the name that a pope chooses very much defines or is inspired by something important and defines their papacy. Tell us about Leo.
Absolutely. I think it was a beautiful surprise, the way God works among us. And yes, first of all, the person that was chosen. And then, of course, as you say, we were looking forward to hear the name, because the same thing was with Francis, a great surprise. And he chose the name Leo. He will be Leo the 14th. His predecessor, Leo the 13th, in 1891, wrote what we call the first social encyclical document from the Pope, social document on the Pope, from the Pope in the modern era. And so that already talks about the way, the plan of action for the future. The implications, I would say, it's important to understand this for me. It's the social implications of the gospel we profess.
I want to talk about Pope Francis, for example, and really through his passing globally, we got an education into the inner workings of the Roman Catholic Church. He was of the Jesuit order, people who really follow and try to live the example of Jesus. Pope Leo is from the Augustinian order. What does that mean?
Yes, he belongs to another order. I belong myself, for example, to another religious community, which is the Consolata Missionaries. And in his case, he belongs to the Augustinian order that follows the rule of St. Augustine, who was a bishop in Africa. And is a smaller congregation comparing with the Jesuits, but very much marked by the living together and the service to the poor.
How do you think he's going to shape his papacy when you think about the work that he's already done? We know that he was born in Chicago in America, but he did a lot of missionary work in Peru. What direction? I mean, he's given us some signs already, and I know he was talking about building bridges, and he actually physically did build bridges during the course of his service to the Catholic Church and to the community. What might we see?
I think, as you pointed out, I think it's a very interesting man because he gathers a number of experiences. As you said, he was born in Chicago. His parents are Americans, but his grandparents, his background is from France and Spain. And then he spent about two decades working in Peru. He worked also in the US, and he also spent time in Rome, in the Vatican. So there are a number of experiences that he's going to bring to his service. As you said, he spoke yesterday about building bridges, and lovely that you're pointing out, he's not only talking about that, he's someone who has been building bridges all his life. I believe, my feeling, I don't know him, so I have never met him. But I was looking at him and I was feeling he must be pretty overwhelmed. He was called by Pope Francis to move to the Vatican in 2023. That same year, he was made cardinal together with our brother, Stephen, Cardinal Brislin. And suddenly, less than 2 years later, he is appointed to be the successor of Peter. I think his first message was very much an Easter message. The risen Lord bringing us peace, that hope, that prayer for peace for each one of us. That was the very first word he said: peace, peace into our hearts, our families, every family, every country, all over the world. He spoke about a disarmed peace and a disarming peace. So that is his wish, and this has been our joyful call with the resurrection of the Lord on Easter. He's got a challenging service ahead, but at the same time, I believe that if you think about it, I was not expecting him to be elected this week. I felt that in the diversity of cardinals who didn't know each other, they could need some more time to agree on someone. And instead, this happened very, very quickly. We were deeply and happily surprised about this. And so he's not going to work alone. He has the support of this diversity of cardinals coming from all over the world.
It's really incredible what you say, because even though there has to be a 2/3 agreement on the election of a pope, he's someone only 2 years ago becoming cardinal. We saw in the first conclave black smoke, so there was, some level of expectation, anxiety, I imagine, and anticipation. How do you feel now, and you can speak even personally if you want, how do you feel about his election, even though he's not that well known as a cardinal? He does have a great track record, of course, of servitude. And how do you build unity inside those cardinals who may not have voted for him?
Well, we don't know how many, and probably this is not going to be revealed for the time being. We don't know really how many cardinals, because we say the minimum was 89, but it could have even been 110, 120 who voted for him. But I don't think that is the point. I think that the fact that so quickly these cardinals who did not know each other agreed on one person, this has to be treasured and underlined in this moment. A couple of days ago, I was talking with the local media here in Eswatini, and they were asking me, you might have your own candidate. And I said, after 2013, honestly, I don't really have a candidate. I wish I could be surprised, as I was surprised in 2013. And I was surprised yesterday. It shows the moment we are in the Catholic Church, it is no longer about where the person comes from. Sorry. There was a time following the international media, Italians would say, we wish we could have an Italian Pope once again. In our continent, naturally, we would say, we wish we could have a Pope coming from Africa. But I suppose the same thing was being said in Asia.
Yeah.
And suddenly, and people probably were saying, it could be anything, but not someone from North America. Suddenly, the cardinals went beyond the country where the person comes from. They were looking for the person, not for the country the person comes from. And the background he brings, and the personality they had indicated. They wanted someone who would be a master in humanity, someone close to the people, someone who can embody a church that is a good Samaritan, someone who supports synodality. And I think this is what they did.